Here's the problem with Islam and cousin marriages. Muhammad, the Prophet, married his cousin Zainab. There is no evidence, there is no teaching in Islam that tells you not to marry your cousin. And so, in many cultures, they repeatedly marry their cousins over and over again. For example, in Pakistan and some Arabic countries. So, what that leads to is a host of deformities and problems and health issues and genetic problems. This has been going on for centuries. This is a problem that has gone through all of humanity and is not limited to Islam. But Islam, you got to wonder, if it's truly from God, why didn't God teach his followers not to do such a thing? Because it could be dangerous. I'm going to show you a clip about how Charles Darwin suffered because he married his cousin, and one of his grandparents also married his cousin. Because of that, he had a health of issues. Because of that, he had a host of issues in his family with his kids. So don't marry your cousins. And unfortunately, Islam is not from God.
Darwin. When he wasn't writing about evolution, he was with his beloved wife, Emma Darwin, formerly Emma Wedgwood, Charles's first cousin. Prior to the marriage, Charles had no scruples about getting involved with his cousin. What concerned him more was the loss of his free time that the marriage would cost him, and also the fact that he'd have less cash to buy books. Nonetheless, they tied the knot and went on to have 10 kids. The problem was, some of those kids would not live very long. His second child, Annie, died just age 10 after contracting the disease scarlet fever. His son, Charles, died in infancy, and another girl died only after 2 weeks. Something that plagued Darwin was not only that he lost some kids early on in their life, but the fact that many of his children that grew up suffered from all kinds of life-threatening and strange illnesses. It was as if they'd been born weak. Or in his own words when he spoke of his kids, they're not very robust. 3 of those that did live a long time didn't have any children of their own, and it's now speculated that the fact that they were the result of inbreeding could have led to their inability to procreate. Darwin once said in a moment of sadness, "We are a wretched family and ought to be exterminated." At one point he wrote that one of his boys had injured kidneys and very swollen glands in his neck, while another boy, he said, was consumed by hysterical sobbing and semi-convulsive movements. What was happening to his children, he wondered, and then he began to think that it was somehow his fault for the decision he had to marry his cousin. You see, he noticed that crossbred plants were genetically healthier than self-fertilized plants, so maybe marrying cousins, he pondered, wasn't such a great idea. At the time, the scientific community could only speculate that the consanguineous marriage, meaning a marriage between people who are closely related, could result in things like deafness or blindness. But what if it could result in children being very sickly or even dying young? Darwin actually asked the government to try and collect data on this, but it didn't happen in his lifetime. What he didn't know was that bacterial infections are linked to inbreeding, and that's how 2 of his children died. You should know this too. Darwin's maternal grandparents were also related, and as you'll soon see, that very likely mattered.
So tell me, how's it feel? Tell me, how's it feel sitting up there?
Hey man, I'm not judging. I'm sorry for all that you went through in your life, but I've noticed a pattern when it comes to people converting to Islam. Let me show you some examples. Cat Stevens is the first example. Cat Stevens, now Yusuf Islam, had a near-death experience, and then I believe his mom gave him a Quran, he read it, and he decided to convert. Then we have Hamza Yusuf. Hamza Yusuf, similar story. Near-death experience, had a traffic accident, read the Quran, and converted. Then we have Asadullah Ali, not as famous as the previous 2 examples, but also a Muslim convert. He had problems in his life. He had a ruptured disc in his back. He wasn't able to do martial arts anymore. He became depressed. He almost wanted to kill himself. And then he turned his life around and he converted again. Then we also have Mustafa Khattab, who had a traffic accident. His car spun out of control. And then he decided he wanted to be Muslim again. And then, of course, we have you, Cactus Boy. I hope your life gets better, but I do think that Islam is false and you can do better without it. There are other alternatives to happiness. There's mindfulness, there's meditation, there's things you can do to be happy without having to believe in some made-up God and a fantasy hereafter. And in fact, Cactus Boy, according to your own belief, most of your family members are going to burn in hell forever and ever. How is that comforting? How is that good for you? First of all, gay isn't an insult. I don't even care if you call me gay or not. It doesn't matter. Second of all, that's not a reason why people leave Islam. I actually know from the gay community that there's gay Muslims. That's right. Gay Muslims were married to women and then they go out and they have sex with men. The wife doesn't know, the kids don't know, nobody knows. The reason why it's like that is because they can't leave Islam. They think Allah is real. Yet at the same time, they know that they're not attracted to women, but they do it for the society, they do it for their families, they do all of these things because they have to. As you can see, they don't have to leave Islam to do any of that. It's just considered to be sinful.